silent vibrate, so we don't disturb the meeting. As always, we open up with a moment of silence, so everyone can pray to whatever entity they pray to, and ask them to be, ask them to help us with a successful meeting. I don't know what it is. I had printed up the agenda. I printed up the financial report. I don't know how I got out my bag or where I put it at, but we do have it on the screen so we can follow through the agenda. And as always, we open up with Kofi giving us some wisdom from our African ancestors, Proverbs.
Good afternoon, brothers.
Good afternoon, brother.
Everybody all right?
Yes, sir.
Y'all looking marvelous. I like them t-shirts, man. I like them sweatshirts, man. I could be a couple of more of them things, man. But I want to share two African proverbs today. The first African proverb I want to share is from Ethiopia, and it just simply says, "He who conceals his disease cannot expect to be cured." I think that's very self-evident. And that's one of the things I try to think about when I think about the Black Male Community Council and how we have come together over these past 4 months and have
2 months.
2 months. It's been 2 months?
2 months.
Okay, wow. We got a lot done in 2 months, man. Okay, so, but how we have shared and shared certain things, even about our inner selves and we as men collectively. And one of the things that I have taken note of these past 2 months, we have identified many of our own diseases, and we're not afraid of them. Nor as we move forward with the tasks at hand, can we be or should we be? So again, this first African proverb says, "He who conceals his disease cannot expect to be cured." The next African proverb I want to share is from West Africa, and it just simply says, "Men fall only to rise." And that's what we're doing. One of those things in terms of our diseases that we have admitted to ourselves is that we have failed our community miserably. We have failed our children, and this is evident to me of the consistency of the men that come here, have been coming here every Saturday, that it is our time. It's our time to rise and to be able to work in our communities to make a difference, which again was evident. I got to give kudos to what happened last Saturday when those 30, 40 men went to 12th and Huntington and started to clean up and work it in the community. And along with the other things that we are going to accomplish, I just think it's such a beautiful thing to know that we are standing up. That's right. And so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
There you go. Okay. Thank you. Now, Brother Najee is going to do our welcoming for anyone that's new or who haven't been here, and Najee will welcome you.
Assalamu alaikum, peace be unto you all. Welcome everybody that is here. There's a lot of familiar faces that have been coming here every week, and we appreciate you. I want to apologize for those who missed me last week. I was ready, I was anxious, I was ready to go, had all my equipment ready to go, and at the last minute we got a call. My father-in-law couldn't breathe, so we had to rush down to Maryland. So I had to drop everything. I called Brother Stan, and said, "Brother Stan, I got to go, man." He said, "Do what you got to do." So I had to support my wife and family. That's right. So for the first time, who said for the first time besides Minister Rodney? Let's give Minister Rodney a applause. Thank you, Brother Minister Rodney, for coming. As you know, he's the representative of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and it's an honor to have him with us today. It's a jewel to have a man such as Minister Robbie here in our presence. And we hope that before he leaves, we like to some of your mind. We want what's in your mind, so we can share it. Because right now we're on Facebook Live. Say hi, peace. 31. We're on Facebook Live. Everybody around the world see you. All right. So thank you, brothers. May God bless you all.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay, keeping with the agenda, so we all stay focused. We're gonna have Raheem read the vision, the mission, vision, and goals and objectives. So we know why we're here and we won't get distracted.
All right, man. How's everybody? Peace, peace. The Black Male Community Council of Philadelphia mission statement. Our mission is to unite as black men in the city of Philadelphia for the purpose of providing a clean, safe, and secure environment for the women, children, and elderly of our community. Through membership and leadership that will embrace our communities with their presence and resources that will uplift and empower target areas of our community. Our vision statement. Our vision is to promote public safety and community empowerment in the black community of Philadelphia. We are a community service organization engaged in employing strategies that will stabilize those target areas that need our services. Goals and objectives. To establish the following committees: security, cleanup, mediation, education, and public relations. To transform hotspots in our community to peaceful, clean, and safe places for our women, children, and elderly to live in. Bring grassroots organizations together for networking, support, and to form a strong community coalition. To provide supportive services to assist those in communities we will be targeting. Make the BMCCP a recognized organization by keeping our hotlines, YouTube channels, websites, and Facebook updated and available to the public. Bring ideas to our weekly meetings that will uplift, that will help in our efforts to improve the communities we will be targeting, and to review what adjustments we need to make to improve our success rates. To maintain our motto of consistency, boots on the ground, all hands on deck. Encourage the black male members of our family and friends to get involved with the BMCCP. Make the BMCCP a template for the black communities across the nation. And that concludes that.
Thank you. Okay, the next on our agenda is the financial report. And this is from March the 9th to today, which is March the 16th. Donations last week was $105. Merchandise sold was $45. Balance on hand as of that meeting on March the 9th was $778. Total funds on hand of that date, March the 9th, was $928. We dispersed $50 for food and refreshments that we have. Total on hand as of today was $878. Okay, that's everything up there. That's good. And total merchandise on hand, sweatshirts, we have 9 sweatshirts at $25 per. That's $225. And total merchandise on hand as far as t-shirts was 47 t-shirts at $10 per. That's $470. So total merchandise on hand is $695. And that's the financial report. Any questions? Discussion? If not, we keep it moving.
We have a question in the back.
Okay.
I just want to know when will we get the hats?
Well, we're in negotiation.
Okay.
And Najee is the producer of the hats. We just have to do a little negotiation. And he had it was one error that we need to correct on the hats is the replacement of the acronym. We got the BMCCP. And when we was discussing this morning was to move the C and put it, because there's only so much room on that portion of the hat, that I suggested that he take that P and switch the P and the C together so to be in unison with what the acronym is. So he's working on that.
Okay.
And so we should have the hats hopefully by next week, Naj. Okay? Any more discussion? Okay. We get back to the agenda. Organizing the citywide call out. We did a lot of work this week, and I just give you what I've done in reference to the call out. I talked to community college. They booked up until June, so that wouldn't do us no good, even though we might have could have got in June, but we want to hit the ground before June. So community college, for all intents and purposes, won't work for us. I went to Girard College also to get information on there. I got to call the person back. I called and left a message. I'm gonna do another follow up on Monday to see if Girard College would be accessible. But we did get some good synergy from Imhotep. We went up to Imhotep. I met with the person that I needed to talk to. So she gave me some good energy about using Imhotep. Now Imhotep could hold about 700 to 800 people, right? So if at the end of the day, if that's what we got, that's what we got.
Yes, sir.
But we want to lock down a place for the call out. So as we moving forward, I gave her the dates as April the 13th or April the 20th. So we'll see what happens within that. Also, we're gonna still check with Pastor Hall and see if we could use Triumph. So we're still in the process, in essence, trying to nail down a place for us to have the call out. We also went over, I don't know if I presented this, but we'll do it right now because I don't think we did share with you guys what we had came up with. If we did, we don't have to go over it again. This is what we came up with. If we shared with this, let me know, because I don't know if we shared this with you guys yet. This is what we propose the call out day look like. The doors open at 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Use this time to socialize with one another, and program begin at 12. 2, greeters in the lobby passing out applications, data sheets, uniform, same color pants, same shirt. Vendors, this is something I think we need to consider about the vendor. Because if we get so many vendors there, that'll subtract from why we there.
Right.
So we was thinking about, having different vendors there with different things, but in order to keep our focus, we might not want the vendors there at this particular time because it'll be a distraction, and this purpose of this call out is for us to gather data. And so that might be something we might want to reconsider. 4, members walking around engaging individuals about the significance of the BMCCP with information packages. Like these packages we got here. So we have them made up. And then we have people walking around passing them out and just sharing with the people who come about the information package. So then what this does also, it will give those people ample time to even look through to see what we are about. So by the time we get into the program, they have an idea of what we are about. Black businesses that are willing to partner with us by providing selective items. And so we don't get off track, we probably would just want some water and some pretzels or some simple stuff, so we don't go off track and trying to provide a whole a meal for the event, because that's what we're not there for. 6, Pastor Hall, we're not sure yet, but if we at Triumph, of course, naturally he's gonna be the opening person. Right. But if we not at Triumph, then we might, if this the person we want, we could reconsider But right now we just have Pastor Hall as the opening prayer and give opening words of encouragement to those who are there. And 7, the keynote speaker, and we was looking at Zachariah, because we talking about the elders, the young, the youth, and the children and the women. Right. So in this portion here, we were saying that Zach, because Zach, if he agreed to do it, he lost 2 sons to violence, to murder. Okay. And what we want to be able to have people to speak to the spirit of the men that comes there. Right. Because that's what our goal is to get the men to understand why we're doing and to get their participation. So we thought about Zach and a young person. Now, when I was at Inhotep on Friday, Mama Debbie, I think is her name, that I spoke to, she said there's a young person that goes to Inhotep, that father just got killed this year. I don't know about his articulation ability, or even if he would want to be the one that really fill that young person's slot. Right. But if a person like that is what we want as a young person to speak from their experience. And then we have Dorothy, a Mothers in Charge. Okay. You know, so this is what we was talking about, the keynote speakers, and really so those men can hear firsthand of people experiencing death and get a little in touch with that. And 8, BMCC Rep Stanley and Kofi summarize what is the mission, vision, and objective that we want to accomplish in the community, and explain our approach to achieving our objective. And so we'll be the ones that, if it's agreed upon with the group, right, to articulate that to whoever's present. And then we have the chairperson of each committee. Now, the thought was like that we have 4 basic committees, right? Mm-hmm. So whoever that chairperson is could give a 2 or 3 minute spiel about what that committee is doing and what that committee is about. Right. Mm-hmm. Because what we try to do is get the individuals that's present to be interested in one of them 4 committees and make a commitment to one of them 4 committees. So since they hear all of this, they give them the vision, and now we got a chairperson of that committee to give them an idea of what that committee is going to do on, and so forth. So, and I don't know if we're going to have a question and answer, but we should, because we should have a question and answer. So we say about 15 minutes for that, because when you go to different places, when you have the question and answer, they don't have a long period of that. Right. Because you got to be careful, because some people give up and give a whole dissertation of their perspective. Right. And so we won't want to have a real long period of time. Right. So, yeah. And then we have collect applications and continue signing brothers up for the various committees / locations. So what we want to do again, we have a 2-hour window before it starts, and afterwards we want to be able to have ability to collect the data and information, because that's going to give us the ability to actually strategize how and where individuals' interest is at, number 1, and how and where to have the action, the boots on the ground action plan done from what we get back from the people. So that's what we came up with as what that call out date would look like. Okay. And we open for any suggestions, any suggestions or any discussion on what we have up here.
Excuse me, Stan. In reference to the black businesses to provide donations, have we, through the one of the committees, reached out to any of those businesses as of yet to inform them about our motion? I say that because I know a black business owner, happen to be a relative of mine, would be probably more than likely willing to help with any donations. Yeah,
we haven't reached out as of this very moment, but just because we're putting this
together. That's most recent. Okay, sure.
So, but any one of us that have any contacts with any black businesses that might bring something that could assist with the especially with the refreshment, because basically we talking about some water, some chips, some pretzels, and if that we don't get them, hopefully we be financially independent. We could get it ourselves.
That's what we're asking for, just the idea.
Yeah. We're not really asking for. Yeah, we're not asking for a whole smorgasbord.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Right. Gamel.
My name is Brother Gamel. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
I want to just review that point with the vending. I think, now this is just my point of view, I'll go along with whatever the group want to go along with, but at this place in time, I think vending may or may not divert from our primary purpose. I think the only thing we should be vending is our own merchandise that's conducive to us being fully self-supporting. Maybe somewhere down the line we can do something and have a bunch of vendors in it, but I think that might take away from what we're trying to do here and now in this early stages of what we're trying to do. That's all.
Oh, listen, it would be ineptness if we did not have our merchandise at that event. I mean, so
My only other suggestion in terms of a vendor, if we were to go that route, would be to have someone there that could vend information, books, educational pieces that go along with the theme of what we're doing, period. That's just my suggestion.
right.
Yeah, no, I agree with you with that, right? Like stuff you're gonna have stuff that's conducive to the mission, which would be like books, information, and one thing is refreshments, like food. So just say, for instance, like you get a vendors where you got food vendors, because if you're gonna hold people and we gonna just supply them with what we can supply them with, you can also give them another option, right? To go and get a little something out there. So you just limited to information and food. See what I'm saying? I don't think food gonna distract and it's not gonna take from the, you know what I mean, like from our merchandise sales or whatever. You know what I mean? It's not gonna, you know what I mean? It's not gonna, if somebody had to, get something to eat, it'd be some refreshments and stuff there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to donate the paper that you need for printing. Just let me know how much you need.
Okay.
Beautiful set, brother. Thank you.
No problem.
You said paper, is card stock involved with that?
Whatever you need. I don't know what you need.
Beautiful, okay,
Okay.
great, okay.
Okay, now, the two things. As far as food vendors, we have to see what venue we're using and what their policy is in reference to internal vendor. But if we at the time of the year that we're doing it, we might even add, it might be to our advantage to ask someone we know with a food truck, and that way they could be outside. Because if you're there for 4 or 5 hours, some people might want to eat something. So that might be one way we can do it. So. And ask them to give us a little donation after they've made all that money. So, go ahead.
I haven't been here the last 2 weeks, and I apologize for that, because, I had talked to you, Stan, about the surgery. But hearing what's going on, because I know you guys are moving straight ahead, and that's great. I had said something earlier about, possibly talking to, and I don't know how the group feels about this, about any politicians or anybody that, if we want to get them involved, and, because they're always looking to try to promote themselves, and we're not trying to get them to promote, but if they could possibly be willing to donate to our cause and let them, be aware of what we're trying to achieve, because I personally, and I'm not going to take anything upon myself without the permission from this body. I had wanted to go to the council person in my area and talk to them about what we're doing and see if they're interested in donating or being willing to donate something to our cause. Is that
Well, It's two things. It's two things, and we're gonna get to that point where we're gonna actually need some support from the political establishment.
Right.
And then when we get there, we're gonna do a short presentation, because right now we were working on the 90-day boots on the ground.
Right.
But we do want to share with the steering committee the other aspects that we have in the pipeline, that we can get a full vision of where we're going with this. And at that point, we'll see where we're gonna need some help from multiple establishments, because that's gonna start where we're gonna have to have some finances that's connected with these other pieces. But right now, for the call out, as much as possible, we want it to be do for self.
Okay.
Because this way we won't become stagnated
Right.
with outside entities waiting for them to say yay or nay. So especially with the call out,
Absolutely.
we want to have the financial wherewithal as much as possible to have control over the call out.
Okay.
I'm sorry, keeping that in thought, would it be reasonable to invite a male from the political arena, from each one of our neighborhoods, to be there on the call out day? Not as a speaker, but just because they are part of our community. We are part of their community. So just have a male from whatever district or whatever come and be part of, not part of, but just to hear and see what's going on, so they can take it back to whoever they serve or under, and say, well, look, this is a good idea, this is a wonderful idea, but I'm part of it, so you know it's a wonderful idea.
Yeah. So
You know,
what we doing is HASRAC already started seeking out who's the stakeholders specifically in the areas that we're gonna be servicing. Right? And the goal is to have a meeting with all the especially the committee people, the block captains, and the community activists in particularly these hotspots that we say we're going to be servicing. And instead of having individual meeting, we'll compile a letter and send it out. And this way we can have one meeting and have, like, say for instance, every neighborhood mostly has a police liaison person from that district. So we'll find out who that liaison person is, invite them to the meeting, invite the committee people, so we can get what you're saying. And then at the call out, whoever we can reach, we open for anyone that's a part of that community, especially the males, because this is a male-driven concept, initiative. So we want as many black men, regardless of where you're located, but especially for the hot spots we're gonna be serving. We definitely need to reach out to them stakeholders in them areas.
Okay.
Right.
That answer that makes sense? Okay. Any more?
Just a
Go
point,
ahead,
Mr.
Bruce.
Stanley. Last week, the turnout, issue surfaced at that moment in time, and just a safe haven and a place where someone could go to relieve themselves. If it's going to be that many people, just have, just porta pots. I don't know if you're going to be on the venue's going to be that large. That may be a consideration.
Well,
Somewhere.
you mean for the call out?
For the corner.
No, we're gonna be inside.
We're gonna be inside
Everything's gonna be inside.
a building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. We're gonna be in the park.
No, brother. I'm sorry. My bad.
But
My bad.
That's the second call
sorry.
out you're thinking about.
Maybe I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, the second card. Yeah.
Okay. And with the businesses staying, so we can remain independent. Maybe we should have to set the guidelines on how they are going to serve. If the businesses are willing to serve. Yeah. Let them know our guidelines. Yeah.
But that's something important that we
Yeah.
have to do too,
Yeah.
because, and it might cause for us to put that in our budget, and we are going to create a budget, because some of this stuff need to be in a budget form so we can see where we're going. Because even when we out there manning these hot spots, he brought up something that we didn't think about is a porta potty. So when you're moving around, even though you might have a building you could go to, but if we have to, that's something because
Last week, we was looking for a place. Yeah.
old guys like us always got to know where the bathroom at. Yeah, so that's something we gotta. Let me write that down. Porta potty.
got something too.
Okay, go ahead.
Two things, right? Like the flyers, right? When we do get the flyers made, because if we can get that date soon as possible, because the launch of the call out to get the information out there, it's gonna have to go and be, the flyers gonna have to be put up in public places. So just just say for instance, you wanna go into like a busy area, like it might be somebody's business, and you sit back and say, listen, I would like this, okay, we gotta give you permission to hang this flyer up, and this is what it's about. So usually when you give the person that, like the business owner, and letting them know what it's about, it should be a no-brainer. Yeah, hang that up. We support that. You know what I mean? But just having the information to be able to translate to them exactly what the Black Male Community Council is, what we represent, and what the call-out representing. Usually after you give them that spill, they won't have no problem. They shouldn't have no problem with hanging it up. If they don't have a problem, you'll have more people that's willing to hang it up than not willing to hang it up. But I think collectively, that's gonna probably have to be like one of our agendas collectively. Because if each one of us took 10 flyers and we hung them up throughout, different businesses throughout the city, then that would, be enough for, enough for the business, for the business areas. And and that was just one thing I was saying, because the sooner the better to be able to get the people there. So I think we got somebody from the radio station, right?
But let us get to that.
Okay, all right.
We got that as part of our presentation.
One more thing, right?
Gotcha.
I went to an event last night, right? Dorothy had a little event for Blair last night, and they had a sister there, right? And the sister, she was a new artist, but she was an R&B artist, but the girl was like Whitney Houston, man. Mm-hmm. So afterwards, I asked her, I said, how did we book you? So she told me, my agent right there. So I told them what we doing, told them about the call out. So she just said, listen, she open. Once I told the agent about the, what's the name? She said, give me a call, because I was saying, like, she got a video with Dorothy in the video with an uplifting song. Mm-hmm. So I was sitting back saying to myself, well, if we could get her as part of the call out, right? Like I'm looking at the call out like a pep rally. See what I'm saying? And if it's like a pep rally, that way you want to sit back and you want to energize the men to give them something. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? To be inspired about. It's nothing like, like songs. It's nothing like, strong speeches. A lot of hitting on a lot of key points that everybody see and agree on. Those are the things that like awaken the spirit, they energize the spirit to be able to want to go and do something. So if you look at it from that point, like we had Daryl last week with the song. With the song. So you need some sort of, you want me? Yeah.
Let us get to the next portion, but Kofi where you at right now?
Yeah.
You at where we gonna go at?
Okay.
Okay, so if you just hold that for
you're ahead of the game as usual.
Yeah. that's the next one on the agenda. Mel, you had your hand up for something?
No, I'm pretty much moving in that direction that y'all. I think you guys are getting ready to cover. So I'm gonna wait and listen.
Okay, and one more thing about the call out. We're talking to a sister that might be able to help us with that portion of the call out. That's my granddaughter, Lele. That's that will be able to help us to capture data. Like we're saying, we need somebody with the man and laptops and stuff like that. So we're gonna have a conversation with a sister named Maimuna, who does stuff with us with the Juneteenth, and hopefully that'll be one avenue that we can have the ability to man the stations for data collection at the call out. So we then went over what the call out looked like. We just got to find a place, and we went over what the two dates that we consider in April the 13th and April the 20th. If there's any more discussion on that aspect of what we're working with. Okay, if not, we're gonna go to this and.
He said April the 13th and April the 20th. It's two. Is the dates being considered for the call out?
Say again?
April the 13th and April the 20th, 2 dates being considered.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, April. It's on the Saturday.
Okay, now Kofi gonna take over this because there's some work that we've been working on and he can share with us about this PR campaign that where you was at.
We want to be, I broke this down into phases, into 3 phases in terms of a PR campaign to be able to get the word out. And the first phase, of course, is grassroots, word of mouth. Word of mouth is still the strongest way of communication and getting the word out. Every member that is here and those that are not here all need to be voices in terms of the call out. And again, when we talked about a few weeks ago about everybody saying the same thing, and the mantra is boots on the ground, all hands on deck. The date, which we're looking to be maybe April the 20th, for the call out, just depends on how things start to shape up in terms of the marketing and the PR. So that's what that is. Word of mouth, that's one. Everyone here should be talking about this to everybody that you can walk into, particularly brothers that you know. Right? Palm cards, we want to do 10,000. I want to do 10,000 palm cards to start for distribution. I like the idea. I wasn't thinking about doing posters, right? But we can embellish on the palm card and make it large enough to be able to put in the businesses. That makes sense. Okay. So, and we want to palm cards. We want to distribute the palm cards, but we want to be targeted areas. Of course, we want to target the areas in which we're going to serve. That's key. The other targeted areas where we want to be able to the information to go to men that are going to come out. We want to target family court. We want to target the probation office. We want to target the employment offices that 10th Spring Garden. What is that? What do you call them things?
No, it used to be.
No. You go get a job. It's a workforce program. You go get a job. Career link. Right. Thank you very much. We want to target the career links. Those are where a lot of men are. Right. Okay. And again, probation, family court, career links. We want to target those places and be able to get those halfway houses to be able to get those. Excuse me, y'all. Get out of here. Okay, so, to be able to target those places so that we can reach the men that we want to be able to come out, right? And in addition to colleges, and because we want to get there young, we want to get the new millenniums, and come on, my brother, you don't get a message, you don't get it. No, let me do this. I'm sorry. Okay. All right. So. And I talked to Stanley about local community papers. Ads equal story. Right? Okay, so we want to be able to go into locals like Scoop, the young sister who just took over Scoop for Sunday Driver. She's dynamite, right? And we want to be able to get her to be able to get on board with our quest and our mission. And I think with us doing that, she'll help us and put our information in the paper and also get a story. We want to do the same thing. If we target Scoop, there's a brother that works with us under Juneteenth, Mark Harrell, who has the Southwest newspaper. We want to do that. And we also want to talk to Hiroshima Jaramogi to be able to get in his paper. We want to target online radio programs and TV programs and newspapers that are online. As this is phase 1, right? Phase 2, which we've already started, and we had a great meeting yesterday. Okay, it was yesterday. All right, and Darryl, we was looking for a hook. Right? Darryl brought that hook last week with his song, right? And so the basis of the marketing is going to be that song. Okay, black man, boots on the ground. It's I don't know if he brought it today so you can hear it again, but it's slamming. So we met with a gentleman named Big Smiles, Asnar, Brother Asnar, who has a company that creates commercials and does all the media, all that kind of stuff. So what we want to do is we're creating two commercials, 30-second and a 60-second, right, with the song as the underlay, and I'm writing the voiceover for it, right? So we do the voiceover, we go in the studio, we knock it out, then we've got our piece that we can push to the radio stations, right? Right, okay, that's the one thing. We're also going to create a 30-second video that you're going to be able to upload on your phone, so that when you are in the street and you are talking about this, bam, hey brother, check this out. You need to be here, right? 30 seconds of your time. Here, check this out. And it'll be, and on that video, see, we've got enough footage, thanks to Brother Najee videoing and documenting us every week. And thanks to Stanley shooting the cleanup last week. Now we've got enough in terms of content to create a real strong piece. From the first meeting here to the YouTube roundtable discussions and the cleanup. So between all that, we gave all that data and all that information to the brother yesterday. Dowd should have sent him the song. So he's already going to work to start to create these pieces. We're also going to create a video with the whole song, utilizing all of that data, which we're going to upload to the YouTube station. We're going to put it on Facebook, Twitter, right? All of those things, so that we can get that momentum happening in our communities, so that they'll understand what we're doing. And also part of phase 2, we want to get 7 testimonies from men that are here, right? And I'm going to ask, being that Mr. Rodney is here, I'm going to ask him to consider being one of those sound bites. And what we're going to do is we're going to have Asnar come here
Hopefully next Saturday.
Hopefully next Saturday. He's going to set up in the basement, and we want to select 7 brothers that'll make 7 testimonies about the Black Male Community Council and what we're doing. So those 7 testimonies, right, will be again uploaded on Facebook and Twitter, right? So again, we're getting the word out. Now the vocal, what they say out of what their speeches will be as part of that, marketing, we can be able to put that on the radio. Now I did a campaign a few years back, dealing with fatherhood and blah, 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 blah. And so we got testimonies from guys like Bilal Quayon, myself, there's a whole bunch of us, and we all was on the radio talking about, stand up, be a father, blah, blah, blah. It worked. Okay, it worked, okay? So we're going to be able, we're going to do that same piece, all right? That's phase 2. All right, phase 3 is the electronic media. Now, what's the brother now? I'm having a senior moment.
Rick Ford.
Rick Ford was supposed to be here today, but Rick has said to me that being that we have all of our commercials already done, right? And he'll be able to bump those to radio, iHeartRadio, Radio 1, Word. And the plan is to do a 3-week out hit in terms of them getting on the radio. All right. And again, we want to push this through social media, online radio, online papers, Facebook, and then again, ad equals story. So we have to be able to see. We got to, we don't have a lot of money, but we need to be able to use what we have to be able to meet this mandate in terms of ad equals story. Now, if businesses want to help us at this juncture, this is a good way for them to do that. Would you be willing, a business person that would they be willing to pay for an ad in the Metro, Public Record, in the Tribune? Right now, we got some context to the public record. And I got a brother who got a contact in the metro. We might be able to get a deal, but it's still gonna cost money. Right now, most of these ads in these particular kinds of papers, Metro, Public Record, and the Tribune, they could cost anywhere from $500 to $1,500 for an ad, right? And that's only for a one-day hit. All right. Okay. So, so that's what that is. Zachariah, good afternoon. All right. Assalamu alaikum, beloved.
Let him finish the presentation.
Okay. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell in terms of what we want to do in order to be able to get the word out in terms of a plan. Now, if there's any suggestions, anybody got any questions on how all of this is going to roll out, please feel free to ask your questions. Yes.
All these flyers, there's going to be a cost to the flyers.
There is going to be a cost to the flyers. That's why I asked you the question. And you said you were going to donate the paper. Would you donate the card stock?
Okay, well, the flyers have two sides. They
Right.
can have our side, and they can also have a business side. If somebody's going to donate the printing, so that means you have two sides of that flyer. Just
No, I hear you. Makes sense. But then we need to make a decision on focus of the flyer. We don't want the focus of the flyer to be the business. We want the focus of the flyer to be the call out. Okay.
Yeah, I think that what we can do is create sponsorships that businesses can fulfill and have our requests in terms of the things that we need, and have businesses just step up and say, we'll sponsor this.
I mean, that could be simple enough to do a one-page. I wouldn't mind doing that. Just don't want to get it so intricate that we're taking up a lot of time. We don't have a lot of time based on the time that we've set for the call out. Now, if we move the needle, but and look at going into the last week in April or the first week in May, then it gives us more time to be able to really address what you're saying. Because then somebody, even after we create the one sheet of proposal and say, look, we need help here, we need help here, we need help here, somebody got to go hustle that. Right, so then we talk about, because right now things are time sensitive.
Yeah.
So we need to think about that.
And I just want to make one other suggestion, and that is that on the flyer as a hook, I'm thinking save ourselves.
What we're going to do, we have two people that have agreed to start to design the flyer.
Yes.
Right, okay, and the palm card. And so as soon as we get that back, right, then, whatever suggestions people have, one of the things I want to make sure that's on the flyer that come to the action plan. So we got a plan. This is a difference, right, when you have a plan and as opposed to having people come for the rah-rah, right? For me, and the way we've been thinking, I'm looking at this call out as a call to action. That when people come, we ain't got a bunch of talking heads.
Right.
We got, if Zachariah agrees, we got a dynamite brother gonna tell a story, bam. We got a young person gonna tell a story, bam. We got Dorothy gonna tell a story, that's enough.
Right.
Then the rest of it is about what you gonna do. Right now, and I take this from, and Brother Rodney, you can contest this, Zachariah, you too. When we did the 10,000 man call out, right? It was great. 10,000 guys showed up, right? A lot of talking heads. That was cute, but it wasn't special. Because afterwards they relegated us to Town Watch. Mm-hmm. What? So it ain't about that. What we're looking at, and Stanley and I have talked about this intensively, when we look at this, when these brothers come up, we're saying to them, look, you either can sign up for security, education, mediation, right, or cleanup. What you want to do? What you want to do? If we're saying boots on the ground, all hands on deck, that's what it is. Now, I like the piece of maybe having, somebody, young sister sing. We got down. He got to drop black man, black man, black man. He got to drop that. We got to slam a song, man. It's slamming, baby. He put his thing there. So he got to do that for the hype, and after that, it's about business. way we want to set up the data information. We'll have stations and people there, male or female, that'll be taking that information. When this steering committee, because we consider everyone in here the steering committee and the leadership here, the brain trust, that your assignment of that day will be, again, as Stanley said, you'll be handing out the information to the brothers. You get your application, fill your application out, right? When you fill your application out, if you want to do security, go to station B, and so they can enter your information into the data. Right? You want to do such and such, go okay, so that we capture the data. Because even after the data, then we have to sit down. Then there has to be a period before boots on the ground. They're going to be trained. So this is a process, right, that we have developed, and a plan, not a plan of action. It's ain't about Krispy Kreme.
It ain't Town Watch.
No, it's not. It's you coming to work.
That's right.
The situation is so dire. The other night at our Juneteenth meeting, it was a great meeting. I mean, we had about 60 people there, right? It was slamming, and everybody came to work. But a brother stood up, Mark Harrell from out West Philly, and talked about the murders at Angora Terrace. Talked about how these young brothers, their numbers are only increasing on the murders that they are creating on each other. And looked at the table and said, and Stan and I looked at us. He said, "Well, what we gonna do, Juneteenth?" So, and I was proud that our president was able to stand up and say, "Well, we the Black Male Community Council. This is what we doing. And we coming at you and your area."
Brought it to his attention that Angora Terrace was one of the ones that, because he was saying that there's been quite a few murders and stuff down there. And we was able to say that's one of the hot spots that we had already identified that we're going to be working in. So that was, he was talking it, but it was a fantastic thing that we could also bring it to his attention that that's what we doing. Bruce?
Not a sidewalk, but in regard to that meeting you were talking about, and that same location, in that same area, Stanley, a couple weeks ago I brought my grandson here. He can't go from where he live at, from 57 and Walnut over to 60th and Market. That's how hot it is in that area. So I'm just saying, those are for young kids that have more information about what's going on than we do.
Right.
I was baffled. Pop, why did you take him over there? We was going to get something to eat. I didn't know he couldn't go over there. I didn't know. Yeah, little stuff like that. It's amazing how we get information from them, and that's who we're trying to reach. But that's the kind of support we need. That's the kind of support we need. I had no clue that he couldn't go over to 60th Market, and he's right around the corner because all the warfare going on over there with those kids. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I just want to say this, man. I just want to thank the Creator and for working through you guys and creating such a super fantastic PR campaign. It's off the chain. But I want to bring attention to some earlier meetings. We were talking about initiating a press conference. Is that still on the table?
I'm glad you said that, right? Again, everything right now is very time sensitive.
Okay.
Right now, I think that it makes sense to do a press conference. But I haven't seen anyone that has come through these doors yet. And I could be wrong. And if somebody has the expertise to do this, then rescue me if I'm wrong. But I know that it takes a certain skill to be able to put a press conference together for you to be able to get the benefit out of it.
Okay.
Right? Okay, to get the real benefit out of it.
I didn't want to interfere, but I was going to say too, I agree with you. And the plan that you have to start our word of mouth, pamphlets going out, it mushrooms into something, then the newspaper ads, and then ultimately, and I think it'll create the buzz you need. Right. Once the buzz is out there, my experience is no one's absolutely clear That's when the press conference is most effective.
Okay.
Because it's right near time to the event. It's not a big window between the press conference and the event itself, but then you all are making it clear. And I was just gonna add that what you've organized, you've gotta hold on to it. Because people are gonna come. And, you know, too much I have experienced, the agenda you begin to veer from your own agenda, but you all seem to have some core values set, and so I appreciate it. And so I know we from the mosque, and I experienced this from the 10,000 man thing. I had to read it in the headline of the Sunday Inquirer. We didn't want this to look like a nation thing, so we got pushed to the side. But they didn't, when it came time to really move out with men, I got men that are trained to do that.
Right.
That's all they do. That's all we've been doing all our lives since we came to them. We can help. And so we're not trying to take anything over, just trying to be there and be a team player.
Right.
And the NAACP is on board. We have a national vote that we took in Baltimore, and Dorothy Johnson Spike joined the NAACP and put it forward as a resolution. So we have declared gun violence a national health emergency. So I'm here so that you know that the NAACP and that we're on board to help you, just in any way.
Just for Brother Leroy and some other brothers from the nation, of course, Najee's here.
Right.
And they have, in fact, I don't know which one is on security.
But that's something we need. We need
Right.
someone that you might could designate to help with security, because it's two vulnerable committees. The most two vulnerable committee is the mediation committee and security committee.
Yes, sir.
And that's Brother Leroy, we did a mediation downstairs that we still working on. And when I seen Brother Leroy use his expertise in that area, it was impeccable.
Brother Leroy from the mosque?
Yeah.
Right.
Brother Leroy.
Yeah.
It was, what he was doing, I would not know how to do that. And if we're gonna be doing that, we need people like him.
Yes.
And the same thing with security. Even though we have a code of conduct and we have things, but in between that, say the call out in that 2-week period before we hit boots on the ground, we need someone who have that expertise of securing as we secure the community. You see what I'm saying?
I think Brother Akbar is really good for that. He's a community person, he's known, and there's a trust level.
Right.
And they see his presence, and then he can select people that can just be point people to help him
Because
in that.
what we're doing right now, we say to ourselves, we were starting out with 10 locations, but for this 90-day boots on the ground, we might do 7. This give us effectiveness more so than spreading ourselves too thin.
I think you have to be patient. We're gonna, as black men, I like what Kofi said in the beginning. If we accept the disease, if we accept even that we failed, then it positions us best to make the correction. I think we're gonna have to be patient with ourselves. I think while we're working, we're gonna hear about shootings and things, and if we fly off the handle and try to run here and there, we end up not getting the results. We make noise, but we don't make change. I think the Pew Trust, Charitable Trust, did a study on poverty in Philadelphia, and it's broken down into sections. They're finding out that the heavy violence areas are some of the poorest areas.
Of course, correlation.
And so they're all, when you read the articles, you already see the areas that we need to go to. And of course, if we work with you talked about the police liaisons, they can get the statistics of where they are right now in terms of shootings, homicides, and everything. So that way, we have a metric. We can begin to see, are we having any impact after 6 months or a year or something in any given area.
You and my son jump right to the next.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You right there.
You made my point.
That's what the next one is.
Wow, this is great.
So pretty much we got a view of what the call out is going to be and how we going to do the PR. what the day is going to look like. Only thing we really waiting for is a date and a venue. And hopefully this week we'll have the date and venue this week. But this is another portion that we just wanted to bring into the steering committee. Rochelle Blau brought this to us, and we still got to tweak it so it fits our situation here in Philadelphia. And this is a Project Longevity, which was being done, I think it's in Cleveland and a couple of other places, that incorporates the utilization of, for lack of a better term, law enforcement for those who are going to be so rigid that we need something other than what we're bringing. So this is a portion that we want to bring to the committee, because number one is, when you look through this, we as a steering committee, first of all, we all have to agree that this is something we want to incorporate with our action plan. Once we hit boots on the ground, we do it 90 days, and then this is another phase that we have that could be another tool for doing what we're proposing to do, is stabilizing these areas. And this here PowerPoint presentation, which we're not going to go through the whole presentation, but it incorporates that aspect of the, like my son was bringing to my attention, 80% of us is doing the right thing. 20% of us is caught up in the street life. 10% of them don't want to be there, but they don't have a way out. And that 5% that just stubborn and ain't gonna do nothing anyway, that's gonna be the one that persons that's adamant about keeping the street life to their advantage and to the vast majority of us disadvantage. And so for that population, this is what this here Project Longevity will do. So we have that as another portion of our plan to do something constructive for our people. So what it does is this. I'm not going to. Let's see if I can get it. I don't know if y'all can see that. It says, what is Project Longevity? Project Longevity is a collaboration between community actors, academia partners, and law enforcement to reduce gun-related violence crimes in 3 of Connecticut major cities, Bridgeport, Hartford, and New Haven. Project Longevity is based on a similar effort utilized in Boston, Massachusetts during Operation Ceasefire, which developed into a group violence reduction strategy by the Center for Crime Prevention and Control at the John Jay College of Criminal Justice, located in New York City. Now the framework, it says direct agreement with core offenders by partnership with community leaders, social service providers, law enforcement, explicit focus on homicide and serious violence, core elements, moral engagement, offer to help, and swift certain legitimate consequences. So the basic thing is this, and we're gonna tweak it and bring it into Philadelphia. But it's a program that has been effective in Connecticut and different places, where they actually know who are the people within a certain demographics that are core troublemakers, for lack of a better term, right? So once they identify, and this is where another aspect that we're gonna do, identify those who are so hardcore that whatever we do won't work. And they would, and the thing about it is, we will put together a program which we call Project Uplift. So when we're out there, we have something to offer them as an alternative to continue being into the negativity. But this here basically is saying, once we get it all together, to those who we come in, listen, we're here to help you. Whatever you need with human services and social services, we got it. But if you keep on being the troublemakers, if another body drop in this area, every aspect of law enforcement will come down on you. That's the basic thing. But they have a strategy of, number one, identifying, and number two, utilizing mechanism to be able to get that element away from the community. And this is Project Uplift that me, Zach, Kofi, and a group worked on maybe 2 years ago.
About 2 years now.
About 2 years ago. And in Project Uplift, this is where we have all the social services, the training, the entrepreneur training, and different social services component that is built in Project Uplift. So when no brothers say, listen, if you can't tell a hungry man not to feed himself. So rather than just going out there trying to say stop this or doing that, we're going to have Project Uplift that we can have as an offering to those people who need something and is willing to accept something. You want to speak about Project Uplift?
No, yeah.
My voice getting a little raspy.
Okay. Well, Project Uplift is just what it just says here, a transition readiness program. And then inside of that transition readiness program, there are various components. They got you some water, Stan. Could you go to the, all right, okay. Project Abstract. Black Male Community Council of Philadelphia is seeking funding to develop a comprehensive life readiness program with the objective of helping returning citizens and members of the black community transition away from the violent and negative behavior successfully through supportive service and individual responsibility. Now, and so what does that really mean? That translates to their behavioral attitude, starting with the spirit of who those people are, transitioning in a process of training that makes sense, to be able to meet that person where that person is, so that their outcomes can be better. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. The criteria for this program will be 18 and older, although we might be able to lower that number if possible, because that age group, see, there's no programs out there hardly for those young brothers that are 14, 16, 17 years old. I took a program to Judge Dockery and the system that directly sits to the age group of 14 and to 16, right? 17, right? They said to me, Kofi, man, this is a great program. When you find the money, we'll help you. I said, well, I came here so you can give me the money. Right? The guy, I'm looking at him like, what? So then he turned and looked at me and said, he took me to the side and said, I'm going to tell you the truth, Coach. He said, a lot of these programs, this is going to really get you. He said, a lot of these programs for this age group are not developed because they're not voters.
Yeah.
This is what the man said to me. Doherty said this to me. In my face. Because they're not voters. Okay, all right, so anyway. Okay, so the recruitment will be structural and community outreach. Structural recruitment means probation, parole, community liaisons to be able to look into those systems and start behind the bars in terms of getting them prepared to be able to come to us to be able to get this thing happening. And the community outreach in terms of one of the things we did in the fatherhood program that I ran for a lot of years, we had recruiters. And those recruiters were able to go into the community and they would be able to relate because they looked like just them. You know, I mean, I didn't say myself, I'm a gray-haired old guy, what I'm gonna say. But when we sent those young brothers in there that they could relate to, we never had an issue of making our goals and objectives in terms of recruitment and our outcomes. Okay, the life skills, reacclimation, socialization, basic financial literacy, self-sufficiency, critical thinking, interpersonal relationships, conflict resolution and communications. These are all the things that in terms of any life skills program, so I see a lot of these programs that are even out there today, right? A lot of times they don't enlist all of these things to deal with. One, because it's too much time, because what the government does, they put a restraint on you in terms of any funding. You got to get it done in 5 seconds when that's impossible. Don't make no damn sense. Right? But if you're going to reconstruct a person's inner being with their spirit and be able to give them these other tools. This takes time.
It takes time.
It takes time. This ain't no overnight cure. You know, I mean, one of the I had a head of a manufacturing organization of Philadelphia come talk to us about how to create a program so we can increase the work ethic of those that they hire. You know, how do you do that? But it takes time. I mean, here's a guy, he comes to work, he takes off Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, come to work on Friday, say, well, my paycheck. And if he's short 3 days, he won't bust somebody upside the head. There's no work ethic there.
Right.
So, and you best believe, when we start to really get to this point of this program, and we start to bring these young people to the table, these young brothers to the table, they're smarter than, most of the times, they're smarter than the manager that's dealing with them. Especially if the manager looks like somebody else. So getting them to be able to go along and be able to deal with their work ethic is a challenge within itself. But anyway, I'm gonna cut it short here. I don't want to keep running off at the mouth. But you get it. This is a comprehensive program that's attached to the Black Male Community Council, along with the outreach to the other key components in the community, the police department, behavioral health, all of those institutions that need to come aboard to be able to make this work. So, and it ain't gonna happen overnight.
And Zach can testify. This what we have here, especially the Project Uplift. We spent over about close to $25,000 putting this program together. And when we went for the funding, when we was at this place of going to get the funding, this is why sometimes I'll be very apprehensive about relying on government for this. But at the end of the day, this program is already in the pipeline and ready to go. So when we look at it from that perspective, it's a program that we know we're going to need it, because when we out there amongst our brothers, especially the young brothers, they, you know, and from my own personal experience, most of these guys is not as bad as we perceive them to be.
No.
But given the right directions and the right speech, we can move some of them away from that, but we have to have something to help move them away from it with. And that's what we're doing with Project Uplift. So this is why I shared this with the steering committee, so we can all know that we're not just going to be doing just that. Our goal is more comprehensive in reference to solving the problem for our people. So that's the purpose of us even presenting this today. Yeah.
I was going to say too, you know, there's a scene in Spike Lee's movie Tales in the Hood. This crazy K, he's killing people on the street. But remember, the curse was that all the people he killed came back. Right. But they came back how they looked after he shot them. Like somebody's half their head was blown off. But he was horrified not at what he had done and how they looked. He was horrified that he had to face himself. All he could say after all them people he killed, what the hell about me? And so when Bilal Qayyum said, he asked about 10 of these young men, how many of you all held a real gun in your hand, and 9 hands went up. These guys are all under 18. But I asked 10 young men, how many of you all ever had to empty the garbage or clean up your room before you went out to play, or help your mother mop the floor? No hands went up. So you're talking about people who grow up never doing anything for another human being, only themselves. So there's a big S out there, selfishness. And that's what we're going to have to get to when you start dealing with work ethics and things like that.
Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good job. Very well said.
Yeah, I just want to go back to, you guys were talking about like the intervention of, and I don't even believe I'm saying this, the police. It's been my experience, right, in doing certain activism type situations where it's important to have that relationship. Like I was doing something years ago with Brother Qayyum, and when we went out, we had maybe a squad car present. Sometimes just the presence, because like you said, we're gonna have 5% hardcore knuckleheads. And these is the 5% that really be encouraging. The rest of them that's on the fence, maybe not to do something, but don't have the courage to say, no, I'm not doing it. And I think it's important for us to like form those coalitions, those relationships, like when we talking about going into these different areas. We're going to need that. And also we'll need some spiritual, before we even go out. Like some prayer, some energies to go out before we get there, you know, to help us out.
Okay. Frank, you wanna? This is a person that goes along with the longevity program.
Okay.
And Frank is his name is Frank Hayes, and he's a homicide detective.
Okay.
And as far as y'all know, that my son was murdered in September the 8th. And Frank is one of the persons that he called me this morning just to check on me, and they didn't want anything, just to see how I was doing.
Okay.
And Frank is a person that's interested in what we're doing here at the Blacksmill Community Council of Philadelphia. And he came. Well, I was going through the other longevity where we saw what you're talking about, that 5% that just ain't going to stop being who they are.
Right.
And Frank is a person that's interested in what we're doing. And I asked him before he mind saying something to us, because at the end of the day, we are going to need a relationship with the police department to assist us. And some of that data and statistics and stuff like that in the relationship. So Frank, you mind just saying a couple of words to us?
Sure. First of all, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name is Frank Hayes. I am a sergeant with the homicide unit. Okay. As you might know him, Brother Stan, I call him Mr. Crawford. All right. We met through an unfortunate situation of his where he lost his son. All right. Through that, he had the strength to push forward, to work with this group, you know, try to put things together and whatnot. I mean, that takes a lot of strength. You know, when you lose a loved one, you know, it takes a lot out of you. But he's turned that negative energy into something positive. Right. And everybody here, obviously, I'm sure somebody here has lost someone that they love, or know somebody that, you know, they care about. Same thing. I'm not here representing the police department. I happen to be a member of it. But again, I come from an environment where I understand a lot of the things that are going on. So when Mr. Crawford told me about what he was trying to put together, although my time is limited, whatever time I have, I'm trying to, you know, get involved also. Anything, I said, Mr. Crawford comes to me, you know, again, I check on him just to see how he's doing and whatnot. He reaches out to me, you know, and I'll be there, you know, if I can. So that's all I wanted to say.
Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, Frank. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Yeah, so as we see, between Rochelle Bilal, the Garden Civic League, detectives like people like Detective Frank Hayes, I think we got something that's gonna make a difference. And boots on the ground, all hands on deck. And like Brother Rodney was saying, what we do, we should be able to track our effectiveness. Right. Because that's the most important thing. All we doing here and all we going to do, we have to be able to track our effectiveness. And with the help like people like Bilal, Rochelle Bilal, Frank, Rodney Muhammad, and these other people or structures or organizations, I believe we're going to be very successful in doing what? Helping our women, children, and elders have a safe environment to exist in. Yeah. Just like when we was up on 12th and Huntington last Saturday with the cleanup, I'm telling you, man, it was a magnificent day for me to see what I saw as an example of what we're proposing to do, and it was a beautiful sight to see black men up there with brooms and shovels and trash bags and taking an area that was just filthy and making it clean. That was a fantastic day. That's right. Yeah. So where we at?
Got a question or statement?
I just wanted to say, speaking about the young brothers, that we pretty much categorize as people that are completely marginalized and successful Willie Lynch projects, that we put together something special that will allow us to interface with them brothers to provide opportunity. And I'm thinking in terms of mentorships. I mean, you can give them to me. If you can identify them, you can give them to me. And let me put the work in terms of transforming their values. Because in the main, for the most part, them is the brothers that's hurting the most. Their mamas is out there doing the craziest stuff. They have absolutely no moral compass whatsoever. But if somebody takes an interest, I mean a legitimate interest, put their foot in their behind, hold them accountable, make the type of contribution into their hearts emotionally and psychologically, them gonna be your best brothers in the end. Now, I don't want to put out my, my sweet credit and that kind of stuff, but I walk through them brothers. I mean, them is the people that I've known most of my life. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying that as a class of people, not personally. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I would like, if we able to get that deep into the community, where we got that kind of trust, that, and we done made that kind of identification, that we set upon them brothers to be able to bring them on board. One of my, I'm gonna just say this shortly, one of my principal criticisms of the whole drug culture is that prior to, first of all, drugs became illegal because of the white woman. That's the first thing. If you know the history about how drugs became illegal, it's a program. You can just Google it. How drugs became illegal, and it's the white woman. You know what I'm saying? And I don't mean that derisively, I just mean that factually. Now, having said that, if there hadn't have been a series of homicides where whole families was killed, and then in the end, they run in there and find millions of dollars that the people that killed them couldn't find. That's what precipitated these very harsh, draconian drug laws, because this was a series of homicides across the United States. So having said that, one of the criticisms that I had, and I come from the other side, I mean, I'm the brother that was chasing the dope man and trying to put him in the trunk and taking his dope from him and tossing it away, and the proceeds trying to give to charities. I'm going back to the Panther years now. But the point is that had not we got so consumed with the violence among ourselves, fighting over the corners and the territories and the rest of that, had the culture taken a different turn, we could have had the same kind of black renaissance, if you know anything about the Harlem Renaissance, where the communities came to the black community because of the cultural imperatives that come out of our daily existence. And that's what would have happened with hip hop. Instead of the large money going to the external venues, if it hadn't been that kind of violence in our communities, our local mom and pop operations would have been the people that would have got the lion's share of the wealth that was generated from hip hop. Chinese, Japanese, everybody came to get hip hop, and they came to the black community to get it.
One of the things that was said earlier by Bruce, that I think that we should really pay attention to, when he talked about those young men that are in the community, and I'm sitting here thinking about, now we do this call out, are we remiss, will we be remiss if we do not try to approach them before then? In other words, is there a way that we can identify 5, 10, 15 of these young brothers or other young brothers that have been affected by what is going on, so we can hear from them? Because one of the things that you said was that you did not know that you could not take your grandson to 60 in the market. So I think that it might behoove us, I'm just thinking off the top of my head here, to be able to see if we can't gather some young brothers that are from 14 to 17 years old, have a session with them and listen to what they have to say as it relates to this issue. If we don't have time enough, we don't want to stop things for the rollout.
Right.
But if we put that as a part of our agenda, because we need to hear from these young guys. I think.
Let me say this. There's a lot we need to do, and I agree with what Brother Rodney was saying earlier. Let's not get sidetracked.
Right.
Because there is going to be a lot of opportunities for that to take place. The most important thing we have to do, first of all, is get boots on the ground and get this call out rolled out. Because if we start going here and we start going there, we prolong our main mission, is to get some boots on the ground. There will be opportunities for us to be able to engage with that 14 to 17. And like we were saying last week, we have to make sure we're careful when we're dealing with that age group, because we mentioned about child clearance. So we don't want to bring that into our domain at this present time. But, and I was just looking at what Brother Youssef put together for a 10-week syllabus, for lack of a better term, for the education committee. And part of that will go under that process when we hit boots on the ground. What are the education committee going to be doing? And this is a 10-week syllabus that Brother Youssef, and what I do next week, if it's okay, is go over it and pass it out so we can see what the education committee is proposing to do as a function in these hotspots that we're going to be at. So
the only thing I would add to that is that that's to initiate the discussion about the things to do. It's not, we haven't come to no decisions.
Yeah, but I look through it.
Okay.
And that's why I say next week we'll have a conversation, and that might be something on our agenda that we'll be discussing. We put on our agenda next week, because this is an important part of what we're proposing to do. If we're going to be in the community, if we're going to have an education committee, we're going to be meeting on Mondays and Thursdays as from 7 to 8:30, what we're going to be doing.
Yes, sir.
And this is what you put together that so far that it seems something we should be moving toward.
I just want to say, this started about, what, 10 weeks ago, something like that? And I remember the first day here, this room was, it is just as it is right now, and it's filled up. It's still a lot of electric in this room, and I want to say I appreciate it, because y'all just hand around the sign-in sheet. The sign-in sheet is filled up. It's still working. I just want to say thank you, man, because what this is about to do, I think is actually going to actually work. You know, just to roll off the back of what others has been saying, your plan is actually being put together and is actually showing up. As it's getting closer and closer to that date or D-Day, whatever it is going to be, this room is still being filled, man. And just look on the list. You can take that list and look at the names. We're on the second sheet now. We ain't on the first sheet no more. We're on the second sheet that says something. And we still have electric, man. Because I know we ready to go out there and have them boots on the ground, man. We are ready. I know I am, man. I'm ready to listen. I think most of y'all are a bunch of me's. Actually, for real. Because we're sitting here calm and cool, and we're relaxed in this setting, and we're patiently waiting, and waiting for the 20th, waiting for whatever day. Hey, I appreciate y'all for coming up with this. I needed something else to do besides go to that job and put gas in them little buses and sit there and wait and watch my TV on my phone. So my type of day is I need to be used. Help me accountable. So all of us in here, hey man, y'all should give yourselves a hand, man. Y'all show
No, Aziz, I just wanted to say this, right? And the council can help me with this. The name of our organization is the Black Male Community Council of Philadelphia. Not necessarily the black men. So I think while we calling out, now, I don't know about nobody else, but I don't need no permission, no clearance to talk to my young brothers. Already, that's just me. And I think we gotta incorporate and get the insight because they right there. So, black males, it should be just like, you a male? Because it don't really matter too much about what age. They still need to be taught and instructed to see some role models. Now, by them working together, they can see some role models that they may not have ever been exposed to. So I think we shouldn't be afraid to have that 15, 14, 16-year-old, because that's the target that's really doing a whole bunch of this shooting and killing. So all this clearance stuff and all of that, we don't need no permission from nobody to talk to our youth.
Let me hold on a minute. Go ahead,
Okay. I really like what's going on here, but what I was thinking was sometimes those people they call incorrigible, right? That's a sticky situation because a lot of times they're going to be the ones that might take somebody's life, right? So we, in my organization, Minds of Men, we go to like 40 different facilities, and some of the people can't read. Some of the people coming from domestic violence, addiction, and all that kind of stuff. So what we really seeing is somebody acting out in pain.
Right.
So we gotta be real careful about throwing out them because the actuality, some people told me those are warriors, but they just acting out on the wrong road.
That's
They are warriors. So
Mm-hmm.
what we gotta do, well, I know what I do is when we talk to them about resources, jobs, housing, and training, they're very receptive to that. You know, most people act out of their own interest, so you gotta offer them something, telling them not to sell drugs, telling them not to pick a gun up, and everybody else around the neighborhood got a gun. That's unrealistic because they feel as though somebody gonna do something to them. So we have to, like Elijah Muhammad said, he goes show the dirty water and the clean water. You gotta offer somebody something.
That's right.
If we don't offer nothing.
That's why we went through Project Uplift. So I wanted to get the steering committee to know that we do have that in the pipeline. So we're not just. We got to remember that we have a 90-day boots on the ground startup. And the reason why we quoted under the 90 days, because first we have to get on the ground. So first we have to have a presence. And what we do within that 90 days is the 4 basic things. But the reason why we brought these other pieces to the attention of the steering committee, so the steering committee can see that we're not just going to stop at the 90 days and that's it.
Right.
Because we know the community that we're dealing with.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So again, if we just do that 90 days and we stop, then history has already proven that when you leave, everything go back to what it is. But first of all, we have to have a starting point. And as we have a starting point, then all this wisdom and all this experience and all this stuff will still be put together so we can bring the next mechanism to the solution. You see what I'm saying? So we all are on board that the first 90 days, we're going to stay focused on the 4 things. As we do the 90 days, we're working on the other aspects that we know that the brothers in the community need.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to say, on the children's side, the point is our legal liability. You know what I mean? And so that's why we, as an organization, we have to not, as individuals, we can do what we want in terms of approaching the young people that we know.
That's right.
But as an organization, there's a legal liability, and if something goes wrong in the relationship or in the exchanges that you have, the organization is going to be held accountable.
Yes, sir. Peace, everybody.
Peace.
Watching the slides, I had some things that I wanted to express, but I didn't really feel it was okay to critique it. But I'm hearing some of the responses from the brothers is touching on what I wanted to address. What I didn't see in the Project Uplift was some of the emotional support that the young brothers are going to need, the anger management piece. Also, that goes hand in hand with the actual drug and alcohol help. I mean, 99.9% of them are doing this all day. So Brother Kofi spoke on that when he said they missing 3 days a week. So why they not getting up early to go to work? Or why they got this attitude? It's because they doing this. So we can say, you know, I got a job for you, it's $22 an hour, but they doing this, so they ain't gonna hold it for so long. So I think we need to be able to partner up with some programs. I know you're affiliated with Narcotics Anonymous, so I think that helps the project as well. That also, what I wanna answer what the young brother was talking about right here in front of me, the opportunity lies for us to have relationships with the adjudicated youth. Like you said, 60th and Market, you got those other programs that already have the parental consent, but the young people have got arrested. They're already in the system. So if we can form a partnership or a relationship with them, they are young people who are going to be going home soon or going back to the streets. So we don't necessarily have to approach the 13, 14-year-old shooting from the hip. We can go to the organization, IDAY, go to the net, go to the Youth Study Center and say, listen, this is who we are, and we want to come talk to your young men. And better yet, we want to have a panel and let them talk to us, what they're going through. So I think there's a way that we can, you know, grow two trees with one seed without really, you know what I mean, you know, just going against the grain, for lack of better words. So, you know, I have some relationship on the surface with some of these organizations, and, you know, I don't mind being a vessel and, you know, doing my part.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Okay, we got some refreshments back there for everybody too. But is there anything else we need to cover before we close out? Okay, one piece. Come on up. What's your name again? The health guy.
Oh. I'm looking around.
Who that? Okay. What's your name again?
Cordell.
Cordell been bringing us a lot of information, and it's been piling up. And at the last meeting, I told him we would have an opportunity to share some of this health information that we have. So as we working, we can get also some health information that Cordell had for us too. So he could just share just a little bit about what this information.
Oh, okay. Basically, you can't do anything without your health. And what I'm handing out today, because there's too much to hit them with everything. Okay. People are familiar with Reiki. Okay. All right. Hands on. Reiki is just basically allowing yourself to be an instrument of universal energy. What you're doing is emptying yourself and directing that energy to different parts of the body. Not only can you heal yourself, but you can heal your loved ones. Okay, we all have positive and let's say negative energy. And what you're trying to do is strengthen the body to withstand the negative energy around you. And as you see the different hand placements, the only thing I added to that is to rub your hands together. You're building up chi, which is universal healing energy, and you're taking that chi and putting it to different parts of your body. So if you have any questions about that, like I said, health is so important to us, and this is just one of the things. There's, like I said, well, maybe I guess. Should I do that? Okay, I'll just say I'll teach what I usually teach. It's called muscle testing. All right, I want you to take either hand, rub these two fingers together. What you're doing is paying attention to how that feels. Okay, take your other hand, take the palm, place it over your crown chakra. Still feeling how this feels. And take the hand on top of your head and place it upside down. The feeling should change.
Okay.
Okay. I can't tell you what it's going to feel like because everybody's different. Okay? Palm down is equivalent to yes. Palm up is equivalent to no. You can put your hand down and then just say yes, yes, yes to yourself. And you should get the same feeling that you did for here. Or no, no, no to yourself. You should get the same feeling as when your palm was up. Okay? I'll teach the other one, which is everybody stand up. And give yourself room to lean. Put your feet together. Since we're all males in here, you take the right hand, which is male dominant, put that palm right over your navel. Make sure the palm is over, not the fingers, the palm. Take the left hand, the palm, put that over that palm. Okay? You just close your eyes and just keep saying yes, yes, yes to yourself. And
Yes,
you'll
yes,
find
yes.
yourself leaning in a certain direction. There's no right or wrong directions.
Yes, yes, yes.
Once you get that, you'll just repeat no, no, no to yourself, and you should lean in a different direction.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay? After you have that, you can put your hands down and do the same thing. Yes, yes, yes. You lean in a certain direction, and no, 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 you should lean in a different direction. The reason I always teach this, how positive is, I myself cannot tell a GMO product from a non-GMO product. But using this method, your body will tell you if that's safe enough for you to, put in your body. Okay, also I usually have quotation marks when I do this and put the word anything in that. Okay, you can tell if somebody's lying and other things. You just have to put something in those quotation marks. This is so powerful. I do this, I make formulas up in my practice. It's so important to know if something's good for your body. That's the most important thing. The other one, I don't know if I handed it out before. 5, 5, and 15. I don't even know if I have that with me. No, okay, here we go. I don't know if we have enough to hand out, but 5, 5, and 15 is very, very important. It's trying to reverse the negative effect of your mind it has on your body, because your mind is operating 24/7. So even while you're sleeping, if you allow a negative thought to fester, it's going to harm your body even while you're sleeping. Okay? So the first is 5, 5, and 15. It's 5 minutes of the best moment of your life, and then you're going to smile while you're thinking of that best moment. And then it's 5, and that can change, because I've done this exercise in front of people, and they said, well, my mind jumps from one good moment to another. What you just want is an overpowering good moment. And the second 5 is 5 seconds of whatever's bothering you, mentally, physically, spiritually. The good thing about that, and that 5 seconds never changes, because what you're trying to do is overpower that 5 seconds, okay? The good thing about this, and this is especially good for veterans, is that you never have to tell anybody what that 5 seconds is. You can be open to yourself. And you do that for 15 rounds, and at the end of the 15th round, when you think about that 5 seconds, it no longer bothers you. Save you a whole lot of money sitting in front of a person you don't know, trying to get them to, what's wrong, I don't understand. Years and years of therapy. So this is just the way I've been blessed to come up with this method. 5, 5, and 15. Okay? The 15 being, it used to be 5, 5, and 10. But us older people have more stuff to get through, so now it's 5, 5, and 15. And I just ask people, once you get these methods down, just teach somebody else. That's your responsibility.
Thank you.
Thank you. Help yourself.
Let me just say one thing before we close out. We are self-supporting through our own contribution, and Gamel had checked with Treasurer's Banquet Hall, so we have that for July the 12th. And the reason why I'm bringing that to our attention, hopefully next week when we have the tickets printed up, because we want to have a old school cabaret fundraiser, and the banquet hall holds up to 700 or 800 people. 800 people. So the goal is to get these, and this is going to be our fundraiser as we move forward, to have a financial wherewithal to take care of some of this stuff, even leading up to the call out. So hopefully next week we'll have the tickets, and when we sell the tickets will be used to finance some of these things that we're going to be having to need the finances for. So I'm just putting everybody, give everybody a heads up on that, and hopefully next week we'll have the tickets.
How much are the tickets going to be,
Well, I just thought about something, and we had to think about this and talk about this. Maybe that we need to think about this. I was thinking $50. If you think that's too much for a old school cabaret, we need to say what we think. Because I paid $125 to go to the Garden Civility thing, and when you're doing a fundraiser, and people understand the fundraising aspects of it, that might not be too much to ask. But if y'all think that's too much to ask, let me know so I can be able to put what we all agree what the price of the ticket should be.
$50 is good. That's me.
You have to bring your own food?
That's an old school cabaret, yeah.
That's $50 a little too much. You got to bring your own food.
Well, like I say, let's discuss that right quick. Maurice think that's too much. Hasback think it's okay.
What would they be getting with the $50? Would it be an open buffet?
No. That's why.
Commission?
For young people that don't know what old school cabaret is, old school cabaret is you bring your own food.
Something you go to these people,
right?
They're not going to do you a favor.
The man.
I want to say this right. In the spirit of a fundraiser, right? It's not like where you're going to get an even deal of what you're paying for. Like you're paying $50, so I'm supposed to get $50 worth of whatever. The spirit of it is to raise funds to go towards the organization. We know we have events where that could be much cheaper or whatever. But the spirit of a fundraiser is so we could be fully self-supporting through our own contributions. So consider it more like a contribution instead of you get this for that.
Yeah, because I didn't get for that $125. I didn't get $125. I could have a couple of weeks off there. That's right. So everybody pay attention, please.
Yo, guys. Yo.
Everybody pay attention. Gentlemen. I need to get a consensus because I'm gonna get the tickets printed up this week. And the consensus has to be whether you think $25 is enough, not enough, or too much.
So let's take a vote.
No, 50.
Let's take a vote. Let's take a vote.
All in favor of $50.
$50. Fundraiser. As a fundraiser.
All in favor of $50.
Okay.
Right off on your taxes.
It's a tax write-off.
Yeah, right.
That's the majority of the room.
The majority of the room, so we good.
Yeah.
We good.
So we're going to go with $50.
Please eat that food we bought, because y'all paid for it.
Yeah, y'all gotta eat this food. We got some fish. We got some fish and chicken.
I enjoy you, people.
I'm
We want to thank you all for coming. And for those who have watched, next week we'll be here again, God willing, at 1516 West Girard Avenue. As you can see, we're making progress. And for those who like to participate, come on next week. And doors will be opening at 1 o'clock, 1:30, and the program will start at 2 o'clock. All boots on the ground. And thank you for those who have watched. Please pass the word. Assalamu alaikum.
I'm cold.